Hey attorneys, Heath back with part 3 of how to build digital equity. We're still talking about the infrastructure and the structure. This is so important. I might talk about this for the next 3 or 4 videos actually, just because it is so important and most people just don't get it. And you need to have a strong infrastructure if you're going to be able to build on top of it. So the last video we talked about choosing the right web host. A web host that's going to allow you to have power to change your DNS, have SSL certificate standard, and backing up and restoring your website standard is important. Well, where are you going to build your website? How are you going to build your website? What is the CMS? What is the operating system, the brain that your website is built on top of? Just a little analogy for you. When people say CMS, they're talking about your operating system for your website. And if you don't know, CMS stands for Content Management System. So it's your system to manage all of the content that makes up your website. CMS and OS, operating system, these are kind of interchangeable terms when you're talking about a website. In the world of CMSs and websites, WordPress is king. If you look at the world of computers, you really have 3 that most people think of first. There's Mac, there's Windows, and then there's also open source Linux. Most people don't know this, but Mac was actually built on Linux. The 2 big ones, of course, are Windows and Mac, and those are really the 2 that everything is running on top of. In the world of websites, most everything is running on WordPress. WordPress makes up more than 35% of all operating systems that websites are built on. Coming in second place, around either 7 to 9%, is Joomla. And surprisingly, ones that you've probably heard of, mostly because they have Super Bowl commercials. But if you combine the percent of all websites for both Squarespace and Wix, those 2 make up about 3% of the internet. So those are way down there. WordPress is where you want to be. There's the most support for it. More website hosts are going to know how to handle and manage it, whereas if you went with a Squarespace or a Wix, you only have one website host that you can work with. But there are just an endless number of website hosts that manage WordPress for you. And then there's companies that are kind of like sub-managers of WordPress. My first company, Personable Media, is one of those. So with Estate Planning Lead Pros, every website that we build for our clients is hosted by my Personable Media, my first company. And we take care of every aspect of the website for you in that matter. So anyways, coming back to the WordPress side of things. Just a few things that you should know about WordPress as you're building your site on top of it. This is kind of just like a WordPress 101. When you're building your site, you want to be able to communicate with whoever it is that you're working with, how you want things to go down, how you want to change things or edit things. When you're talking about content that's on your site, you should know the different sections of a site, but for today, I'm just going to talk about different page types. So on your website, you've got 2 different types of content when it comes to a WordPress website. The first is a page on your site. These pages are most commonly found in the navigation bar of your site. And when it comes to creating lots of content on your site, having a business blog, as we know from our previous videos, is extremely beneficial. And when you're talking about content that is on a blog, each piece of content is called a post. It's called a blog post, but in WordPress speak, it's called a post. So in WordPress, you have 2 types of content. The first is a page, the second is a post. And WordPress is the way that you should be going if you're building a website and you want to build lasting digital equity through your site. Search engines love it. There's so many different plugins to make it so that your website goes faster. It integrates with almost anything and everything. And you've got so many different companies out there that support it. So strongly recommend you go with WordPress. And I think in this next video, I'm going to talk more about just the innards of WordPress so that you guys know how to communicate with your web designer, web developer, things that you want, things that you need, so that you have that skill. So if this was helpful, make sure you like it, subscribe, and stay tuned for that next one.